All right, guys, what is going on? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well. And I want to talk about this subject here today, which is going to be probably controversial. I know it already. Probably gonna get some decent commentary here on some players who won't like what I'm going to say. But in all honesty, I really do think that it's the right way to go. And it's why you should not focus down on building war teams in Marvel Strike Force. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I typically tend to get mid-game players, even some later game players who will ask you the question, hey, what team, more so mid-game players, who will ask questions like, hey, what war teams, what are the top war teams that I should be building out in Marvel Strike Force? And I'm usually, my response back to a mid-game player is, dude, don't focus on war teams. It's just not necessary for you to do that in Marvel Strike Force. Now, I will say this, war teams are the game mode is important. I'm not going to tell you that's not important. And there are certain specific teams that are good for war that you definitely should build. But I don't think that you should be focusing down on war teams because there's other things that are in the game that you need to focus on. And I think largely, if you are putting too much emphasis on war teams, then for the most part, you're probably going to be lacking in some other areas in the game. And one of the first reasons why I want to talk about why I don't think you should focus down on war teams is just because of the resources that you get in Marvel Strike Force. You're not really getting a ton of resources, and they're releasing characters too fast for you to really have the opportunity to start building out those war teams the way that you kind of want to build them out. And I think realistically, if you're looking at what are probably the most essential areas for you to focus on first, right? I would say Arena is a pretty good place for you to focus. I would say your raids are a pretty good place to focus. And then, yeah, you can probably focus on some war offense teams. And then, I mean, if you really care about it, war defense teams. But ultimately, man, I just feel like you don't get enough resources in Marvel Strike Force to really focus on, I'm going to build out 12 war offense teams. I'm going to build out 10 war defense teams. Like, yeah, I get it. You got to get your war credits. You got to be able to get those wins in war. I understand that completely. But at the same time, man, you're just not getting enough resources. And I feel like really focusing on war teams is really kind of a luxury in Marvel Strike Force, in my opinion, if you're focusing down on war teams. Somebody just mentioned in the chat, a good war offense team, a team with Red Skull and a team with Winter Soldier, a team with Zemo. And like, yeah, cool. Like, that's a really good team. And I understand that that's a really strong war team. But for the most part, what are you sacrificing to build that team? And I feel like for the most part, like when you're building out, if you're like focusing out on building war teams, that's more kind of a luxury that maybe whales or higher top end players kind of get to do, as opposed to you really having the resources necessary for you to really focus down on your war teams like that. And that second thing that I wanted to talk about, and probably another reason why I don't think that you should focus down on war teams, in my opinion, is because the way that this game is going currently right now, as you start to build out for other game modes like Arena, like Raids, like Dark Dimension, you will naturally get these war teams that you need to work on in war. And let's talk about it. So I'm going to pull up my war roster right now and talk. So I have my war ready roster here, but I'll pull up my war teams that I'm currently using right now in the game. These are my war offense teams right now. And I'm going to shrink myself down just a little bit here. These are my war offense teams that I'm currently using. This was a team that I built out for Arena. This is a team I built out for Arena. Hey, surprise, surprise, they are now a war team. The Symbiotes are a team that I built out for Raids to be able to compete in Raids and also Dark Dimension. Surprise, surprise, they're also a decent team that I can use in war. There's at least 2 matchups where they can do well, right? Where I'm able to use them every single war. Black Order. This is another war offense team that I use currently right now in war. I built them out originally for Arena to do really well there. Surprise, surprise, they're a sensational war team. This team right here is very much a hybrid, but what I really want to highlight here is you have Black Bolt, who is amazing, who was an old build of a character. Then you have that was used in raid content. Surprise, surprise, he became a character that I can now use as a plug and play war offense character. Silver Surfer, amazing individual character that surprise you built him out and you're able to use him. He's usable. He was usable in arena at one point. He was usable in raids. I built for that content, and then all of a sudden now I have an opportunity here to build and to use him in war. Same thing with Zemo. Used him for Dark Dimension. Now I'm able to use him as on a war team right now in war. For me, this is usually my Marauders counter, my Doom Marauders counter. That's usually kind of what I use this team for. New Warriors. Yeah, sure. I built out new Warriors for raids, and all of a sudden you throw Doom on the team. Doom, Kestrel, Silver Surfer, you throw them on any team, you got a war reliable team. But of course, I built out my new Warriors to start doing raid content, and this is what was the result. Hello was a character that I used in Dark Dimension. She is now a character that's on one of my war teams. Axeman, built out for raids. So you can see the trend here, building out these teams for raids. This game is now pushing you to do raid content, and a lot of the content now is being gated behind these raids. So it's so important for you to really start investing into this higher tier content, raids, things like that. And naturally you get these war teams. Now I will say this, and we have this little mashup with Uncanny here. I will say this, there are definitely going to be exceptions to the rule, right? There are some teams that are absolutely amazing in war. Shadowland is one of those amazing teams that you build out here in war, that they were top 2 team, top 3 war offense team. So therefore you built them out because they countered multiple things. Then you have X Factor, who, yeah, I initially built him off for war. Rhino is here. He has one job. That's the reason why he's at gear tier 12. He has one job, just the one: clear the blinds. This is the Doom Hood counter that I currently use here in war. But yeah, of course, they then made X Factor a team that you need for legendary characters. So therefore, that's kind of the reason why they're at G14 and some of are at G13. Really, it's primarily because they are a team that I'm going to need to use to unlock a legendary character. Otherwise, I probably would not have brought Shatterstar and Longshot up to G14, because I really do feel like they're kind of falling off a little bit in the meta. But once again, you build out for other things. And then we have BH. These are old comps right now. X-Force. I thought about, with these new war changes, I thought about building up X-Force to be a part of a team, to be a higher team. But I was like, dude, I don't have the resources to invest into X-Force just because of these new war changes to then be a part of a war ready team. Dude, I'm sorry. I feel like the idea of building war teams out really is a luxury aspect. It's really not something that I would personally recommend. I think that as you continue to build towards other game content, to do that proficiently and to do that effectively, that you are naturally going to be building out war teams. As you build towards Dark Dimension, you can then put plug and play teams together, and then you will be able to have efficient war attacks. I'm getting solid 10. I can go 10 for 10 in war right now. We're in Plat 2, so we're not like crazy, but we're in Plat 2. I'm going 10 for 10 in war right now. Yeah, there might be some times where I lose a matchup or two. I have a team that I can use to clean up some of these war matchups. There are some other mix and matches that I can do with some of the other characters that are on my roster right now. But specifically building out for war, I think highly is very, very, it's going to put a large strain on your roster. And ultimately, like I said, if you build towards other content, Dark Dimension, Arena, raids, that you're naturally going to get these war teams, that you're going to naturally be able to get some characters here and put together some teams that you can use for war, in my opinion. Like I said, controversial, but in reality, I do think that, and granted, I don't have an issue with whales. I have friends who are whales who spend a lot of money in the game, but I do think that it's easier for them to build out these war specific teams and to focus down on war. I don't think that that's definitely the way that everybody should be playing Marvel Strike Force. I think that you focus on the other areas of the game, and then naturally you'll build out and get these war teams. Yes, you make exceptions for certain teams like Shadowland, X Factor, Weapon X, right? Weapon X is going to be coming out, even though I think they're going to be a multifaceted team. Weapon X, and of course you have teams on defense, right? Like your Marauders at the time, or the Asgardians back then, or of course now Heroes for Hire, right? Yes, you build towards that. Of course, like, you don't ignore it because they are the top tier meta. What I'm saying is that I don't think that you should be focusing down on war teams specifically, because I just don't think that it's really resource friendly, or is it really, it's just not, it's just not efficient in my personal opinion. And you'll naturally get the teams that you need in order for you to be able to get the content done. But listen, guys, want to know what your thoughts are. Obviously I went a little long here with the video. I actually wanted to only do this for I wanted to make this a 5-minute video, but I had a lot to say, I guess, when I started talking. But wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are here on this subject. Obviously, like I said, it's a little controversial. Hopefully you watched the whole video to get all of the ideas and the thoughts that I had here, and not just watch part of the section and then make your comment. Either way, you guys probably would do it anyways, but wanted to hear what your thoughts are on this subject. Where are you in the game right now? Are you focusing down on war teams? Maybe you probably shouldn't be focusing down on war teams. Maybe picking one or two is probably the best way to go. Less stress, focus down on other high tier content that you need to get done, and then naturally piece together these war teams that you can use to be efficient in war. But until next time, guys, appreciate you guys so very much. Y'all be blessed, and y'all be safe. Woo. Watch, they're gonna be like, Goofy said don't build war teams ever. That's not what I said. You gotta listen to the context of what I'm talking about. I know y'all out there. I know.